Have you ever sat in silence after trying so hard, only to see everything slip away? Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and wondered, am I really strong enough to start over? If you're in that moment now, if life feels heavy and you're tired of pretending to be okay, then take a deep breath and stay with me, because sometimes failure isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of who you're truly meant to become. Failure, a word that often tastes bitter even before we experience it. A word that makes many people stop moving forward, back away from their dreams, and feel unworthy. But strangely, behind the bitterness of failure lies the doorway to success. We grow up in a society that glorifies results. We're taught to be the best, to win, to succeed, but rarely are we taught how to fail. Yet failure is not a disgrace. It is not the end. It is simply a part of the journey. Like a small stone on a long path, it can be stepped over, removed, or even used as a stepping stone to leap farther. Unfortunately, when we fall because of failure, it often feels as if the world turns its back on us. Maybe you've been there. That point when you feel you've given it your all, your time, your energy, your prayers, your hopes, but still, things don't turn out as you dreamed. You studied hard to pass the exam, but it still wasn't enough. You built a small business that you nurtured carefully, only for it to collapse. You loved someone with all your heart, but they chose to leave. And you asked yourself, what went wrong? That question lingers. It haunts you. Sometimes it hurts more than the failure itself. And that pain feels like an open wound, especially when it seems like everyone else around you is moving forward, leaving you behind. It's suffocating. But believe me, failure is not a curse. It is a mirror. It reflects the parts of yourself you haven't seen yet, parts that can make you stronger. Strangely, we often only see the mountaintop moments of successful people. We see them smiling, winning awards, receiving praise, living the good life. But we forget, or perhaps never knew, that they, too, have been in the same position as we are now. The position where everything seemed to fall apart. A place where they were doubted, even by those closest to them. They failed too, many times. But one thing set them apart. They didn't stop. They chose to rise again. They chose to believe in themselves, even when the world said otherwise. And that's how they made it to where they are now. We may never know how many times they cried behind closed doors. We don't know how hard they fought to hold back their disappointment, how they handled rejection, how they stayed standing when everything felt like it was falling apart. But one thing's for sure, they didn't use failure as a reason to give up. In fact, failure became their fuel. Like a small fire ignited by pain, slowly burning away doubt, and eventually lighting a flame of purpose. That's the part few people talk about. That success isn't born from a smooth road, but from one that's full of wounds. So if today you feel like you've failed, that everything is falling apart, and you're losing hope, know this: you are on the right path. Not because you're losing, but because you're learning. And learning isn't always easy. Sometimes it comes with tears, pain, and loss. But that's where growth begins. That's where you discover who you really are. Sometimes we ask, why is life so unfair? It feels like everyone else walks forward easily, while we have to fight just to stay afloat. But we forget, life is not about who gets there first. It's about who's truly ready when they arrive. And failure, though painful, is one of life's most intense forms of training. It tests our patience. It teaches us the real meaning of surrender, not in defeat, but in peace. When nothing goes as planned, we learn to accept reality, not with resignation, but with resilience. Life is shaping us, stripping away our ego, breaking down arrogance, and opening up space for humility to grow. Success doesn't come from intentions and prayers alone. It comes from a long, exhausting journey. And in every failure, we don't just lose something, we gain something too. We gain wisdom. We gain grit. We gain a new version of ourselves. A version that's stronger, more focused, and better at getting back up after falling. Failure isn't a prison. It's a release. It frees us from the illusion that everything has to be perfect. Because the truth is, there is no perfection in progress. There is only the courage to keep moving, even when we're scared. Why does the pain of failure cut so deep? Because inside it lies hope. Hope we built with so much effort, guarded with care. When that hope shatters, it feels like a piece of us is lost. But from that, we realize we're still alive, that we still have dreams. And even if those dreams are cracked for now, they're not gone. We just need time to rebuild, to turn heartbreak into drive, to turn disappointment into fuel. In every quiet cry, there's a strength growing inside you. You're strengthening your heart. You're preparing for something bigger. And you haven't lost, not even close. Because loss only comes when we stop trying. As long as you can wake up each morning and try again, you haven't lost. Even if the world says you've failed many times, you still control one thing: the decision to keep going. That's your greatest power, the ability to endure even when nothing is guaranteed. And believe me, every small step toward your dream, no matter how tiny, still matters. Because all great things begin with small steps. Falling, in any form, is a part of life. But never see it as the end. See it as a pause. Like an arrow being pulled back before it's launched far forward. You're being pulled, not to be weakened, but to be propelled. Don't let failure stop your faith. Let it be part of your story, a chapter that might hurt, but one that will eventually strengthen you. There's a powerful lesson life never taught us in school, but we only learn through failure: how to rise again. No textbook ever taught us how to handle the heartbreak of being rejected in a job interview. No exam ever prepared us to deal with a dream that suddenly crumbles. But the real world teaches that lesson in the rawest, most honest way. And though it feels cruel at times, it's one of the most vital lessons of all. When you fall, you're actually learning how to build resilience. When you're rejected, you're not being told you're not good enough. You're being redirected. There's another door, maybe not the one you expected, but one that will fit you better. The more you fail, the more you learn. And from those lessons, you begin to build something stronger than before: your character. You also start learning about patience, about waiting without losing hope. You start understanding how to endure pain without losing your way. Even when your tears fall quietly, you're learning how to grow stronger from within. You may not realize it now, but every moment of pain is carving strength into your spirit, sharpening it, shaping it, deepening it. You become someone who can stand tall not because you've never lost, but because you know how to lose gracefully. You begin to understand that life isn't about being always right or always winning. It's about who keeps showing up even after they've fallen down 100 times. Eventually, you begin to love yourself, even when you're at your lowest, even when you're not proud of your results. You begin to see that you're worthy, not because you're successful, but simply because you exist. This might be the hardest part of all, learning to love the broken version of yourself, to forgive the version of you that made mistakes, to choose compassion when self-judgment feels easier. But once you can do that, something shifts. You stop tying your value to your outcomes. You start healing. And when no one else shows up to comfort you, you realize you are enough, that your own presence is enough. And from that self-acceptance, a quiet peace is born. Not because your problems disappear, but because you've found someone who will always stand by you, yourself. Maybe the people around you don't know how heavy the burden is on your shoulders. Maybe they just see the surface, your polite smile, your punctual arrival, your effort to stay cheerful. But underneath that, you're fighting a battle they can't see. And that's something extraordinary. You are extraordinary. Even if no one acknowledges your struggle, keep going. Because this is not about external applause. This is your journey. This is your story. This is how you grow, not loudly but in silence. Not with fireworks, but with a steady heart. You're healing your wounds without blaming the world. That strength not everyone has. And never forget this, your tears are never wasted. Your pain is never meaningless. Within it, there's a message, a sign, a quiet guide whispering that you're being shaped into someone who is ready for something greater. Maybe you don't see it yet, but one day you'll look back and you'll smile. Because everything you thought was breaking you was actually building you. Don't compare your path to someone else's. Life isn't a straight line. Everyone walks at a different pace. Some people succeed at 20, others find peace at 40. It's not about who gets there first. It's about who keeps going. Focus on one thing. Keep walking. Even if it's slow. Even if today's step is small. A small step is still progress. And over time, those little steps take you far, far beyond where you ever imagined. Never underestimate what you're doing, even if it feels tiny. Sometimes, getting out of bed despite wanting to quit is already an act of incredible courage. You don't need to have all the answers today. You don't need to know exactly where life is taking you. What you do need is the strength to keep moving. Directions can be figured out, but the will to keep walking, that has to be protected. And you can protect it, even when your heart is tired, even when your mind is full of doubt. As long as you don't stop, hope stays alive. No journey is ever pointless. Every effort, every intention, every kind thing you do, even in the dark, will come back to you in a form you never expected. Believe this, you'll get there. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday, when you're sitting on top of everything you once only dreamed of, you'll look back and whisper, "Thank you," to the old me who didn't give up. And when you say that, you'll feel something far deeper than pride. You'll feel peace, because you'll know nothing came easy. You earned every step. You endured. You showed up. And that courage, that quiet, persistent courage, is the heart of every success story. So don't fear failure. Don't be ashamed of falling. Don't listen to the voices that mock your pace. They don't know your story. They don't know your storm. And it's okay if they never do. What matters is that you know that you've come this far not because you're perfect, but because you never gave up, because you kept rising again and again. And remember this, failure is not the end. It's a part of the map. And that map is still guiding you as long as you keep moving. Don't erase your dream just because one chapter of your life feels painful. Keep writing. Keep living. Because beautiful endings always begin with a story that wasn't easy.